Hearing loss is typically quite invisible. Unless you wear a device or you let someone know, people around you wouldn't assume that you had a loss. But what happens when one or both of your ears are visibly different to those around you? Microtia is a condition that affects the way in which the outer ear develops, meaning it may be misshapen or not fully formed. Microtia also comes from the Greek word for little ear, but the children behind these images don't lead little lives. My name is Saira, and I am investigating the child and young person experience of living with microtia for my PhD. Only 1 in 6,000 children are born with this condition, making it quite rare. So why am I looking at the small community? Before I started this PhD, I worked as an audiologist, assessing hearing and balance in children and adults. If a child came in with bilateral hearing loss, there were clear policies and guidelines on what the next steps would be. This wasn't the case for children that have a unilateral loss, and still isn't. This is because the child does have access to sound through the better hearing ear. And so the decisions are quite complex because we then need to add in the visibility of the ear. Parents are ultimately the ones to decide, but previous research I've conducted showed that they wanted to allow the child to have some autonomy in their decision making. If we think about the hearing loss, a hearing aid may be an option. Typical hearing aids sit over the ear in the same way that glasses do, but anatomically this may not be applicable for those with microtia. Therefore, a bone-anchored hearing aid may be applicable depending on where in the hearing pathway the hearing is damaged. This means that the sound is bypassing the outer ear, going straight to the hearing organs, and this helps pass on the transmission of sound. This can be through a soft band, like in the picture, or it can be implanted. However, if we implant a device, that is then affecting the skin around the ear. And so if a child ever decides to have reconstructive surgery, this may be an issue. This is because a child has to be between 10 and 12 in order to have a rib taken, and the cartilage is used to create the shape of an ear, over several surgeries, again in a very small space around the ear. Therefore, there's lots of decisions to be made, and no one's spoken to these children directly. That's where my research comes in, as I'll be interviewing children as young as 7 all the way through to adulthood to see what factors are important in their decision making. What do we know? What do we not know? Eventually, I will create a toolkit with patient and public involvement and engagement from this community. And together we can try and help address the issues around microtia and decision making. Little ears don't mean little decisions.